Good evening, everybody. I have been waiting for this show, as I know a lot of you are. We have David Weiss with us. We're going to be talking about flat Earth. I have never had this type of a conversation going on, but I'm really excited to do it. And then I'm just going to ask you guys to be very respectful also
Don't make me have to go mama on y'all.
in your comments. All right, so I'm going to play his intro video, and he'll be with us as soon as it ends. Good evening and welcome to the Fox Den. I am Gina B, here with Mama D, and tonight we have David Weiss. He is a businessman who walked away from his very own successful company to pursue spreading the truth about our world. He is the host of the Flat Earth podcast and creator of the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. He has an amazing ability to take anyone from ridiculing the idea of the flat Earth to a mind-blowing understanding that we don't live on a spinning, wobbling, rocketing water ball in an infinite vacuum. He also shows you why this topic is the most important topic of these troubled times. We welcome you and your opinions, David, to the Fox Den. And here he is.
Hey, David.
So, this is mind blowing to me to think that someone would even think in this day and age that the Earth is flat. Because how long ago was it proven that it was round?
Well, that's just a story. They lied to us. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Just had an echo for a minute there.
So we were told that 5,000 or 2,000 years ago, the Greeks figured it out or whatever the date was. But all of that's not true. I interviewed a 102-year-old woman back in February of 2020, and she said that they taught her that the Earth was flat in Connecticut public schools in the early 1920s. Okay.
Right.
And we found newspaper articles supporting this across the entire world. People in other countries said they were being taught, flat Earth until through the 1930s. So the whole story that we've known this for a long time is a false story. And, every civilization, every culture prior to this one treated the world as a flat, non-rotating plane.
Okay. We have some comments here already. I would think that this might be one of your friends. Enlighten them, Dave.
I like that
one. and Cable Guy Forever. Stay flat. That's hilarious. But
thank God somebody could translate that one to me, because I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, sorry.
Stay flat Earth. I think that's great. But all right. But I do want to say again, you guys, if you're coming in and you're going to comment, please just be respectful and let's just, try to get, Dave's truth out there. Now,
and to the people listening, anyone listening, ask the hard questions, because I thought I had them. When I heard flat Earth, I laughed at it, and then I got angry about it that people were taking it seriously, and then I just tried to disprove it, and I thought I had all of the proofs. Hey, boats over the horizon, sunsets over the water, seasons, the sticks and shadows with Aristophanes.
I want to go there. I mean, if this is okay, this is how we see the Earth right now.
Wait, hold on. So we got to go one thing at a time. That's how you see the Earth. Is that Earth you're showing me a real Earth?
No, that's a animation, because I didn't want to pay $170 for a real Earth picture.
There are no real Earths. That's the problem.
Well, we have like 3,000, almost 3,000 satellites.
So hold on.
In our orbit around the Earth.
So that's what you're told. If you try to Google photos of satellites in space, there are none, zero. We can prove that satellites are not falling around the Earth. Here's supposedly one of the first pictures of Earth that was on everyone's iPhone. And then here, a couple years later, they come out with this one, or 20 years later, whatever it was. Look at the size of the United States. They can't even get their sizes right. Okay. So, and
can we make him bigger than us? How do we make him bigger than us, Mama?
We got to put him full screen. So that's the only way for now.
Yeah. So
again, I just want people to see that.
Yeah. So when you look at this, the guy that made this, his name is Robert Simmons. He's a NASA visual artist, and he said that he made it from strips of data. And he made it in Photoshop, and he added the clouds, and he added the colors, and he was just given data. And then this one is supposedly another shot of the Earth. Where's the rest of the land? If this is the land that we see, here's a map of the relative sizes of all of the continents. All of this other land, all of this is on the other side of this ball. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's going all the way around.
You're looking at half of the ball here. This is half of the ball. And this is all that we're seeing on this half of the ball. How does all of this fit on the other side?
Those continents are joined by, that's one landmass, and then there's up and then there's down, and plus clouds are hiding stuff, But again, now we have this though with the thing streaming. Now where the sun is, the equator, all of the equator is a lot warmer than all the other, the South Pole, North Pole. That's why we vacation around the equator, because of, the warmth and everything. So how is it, if the Earth is flat, that we have seasons, that we have?
Sure. Let me answer that.
Can I just say something before you start, David? Hold on 1 second. My 2 cents for it. And when you say that, somebody drew it from this way, to me, it's kind of like the Bible. Everybody has their own version, and they always add and take away what they want. So maybe it's because one person drew it this way, another person drew it this way, or the information they got is changes.
Yeah, but over time, continents have shifted. The Earth's crust has shifted. Things aren't the same sizes as they were a long time ago.
Well, those pictures are less than 20 years apart. The Earth hasn't shifted that much. Here's a photo. Here's the second photo. I believe it was 2002 or 2012, whatever it is. We can measure this by driving across Mexico and checking the length across Baja, and we can scientifically prove that that's 934 miles. Scientism tells us that the diameter of the Earth is 7,917 miles. Well, I should be able to fit 8.5 of those in between these two lines. But as you can see, I can't even fit them on this page. So
no, because that's still not in the center of the circumference either.
I don't care where you want to put that line. Fit 8.5 of those in between those red lines.
Yeah. Well,
right. So that right there proves that is not a photo of Earth. So now let's go to I like your question about seasons. Let me explain how seasons work. I'm going to share my screen because we're using StreamYard. I can't pull up everything. So let me see here. All right. So can you add that to the stream so everyone can see it?
Yep.
So the Earth is not a disk in space. It's literally like a pond. So we're looking straight down at the Earth. The Earth plane is just a big plane, and the land that surrounds the world pond is the highest land on Earth. It's like the edge of a pond. The edge of a pond, the edge of a lake is where the land is higher than the water surface. Well, the land that goes around the world pond, that's Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It is the container that holds the waters of our world. So all of the continents are surrounded by water, but all of the water is surrounded by its container. That container is Antarctica. We live in the Antarctic basin. Okay, so what is beyond Antarctica? We'll get into that next, but you guys asked about seasons, so I'm going to show you about seasons. The sun right now, there's 3 circles on this. The inner circle is the Tropic of Cancer. The outer yellow circle is the Tropic of Capricorn, and the red circle in the middle is the equator. Okay, the sun migrates in between. I'm going to show you. I'm going to move it a month at a time, and you see that it migrates in May, June. It's over the Tropic of Cancer, and that's when we have our inner northern summer because the sun is closer to us. Closer to us means we see it higher in the sky, right? And then 6 months later.
How is it closer to us? Are we spinning like a flat disc? Are we going wobbling?
Let me explain. The Earth does not move ever at all period. It's completely stationary. The sun and the moon are small and within the Earth system, and they circle around us in the sky above us. And we can get into that in a little bit. But the sun provably circles around us. And when the sun is all the way close into the inner north, if you're kind of in the middle here, like in northern Alaska, the sun will never set because it's never far enough away from you to disappear due to perspective. But you see, the sun just went over Miami. So that's so in the summer, in June, it's really hot in Miami because the sun is directly over your head. But 6 months later, the sun moves all the way out to the Tropic of Capricorn, and Australia is having their summer. We're having our winter because the sun is farther away. Farther away means lower in the sky. If you had two airplanes paralleling each other at 10,000 feet, one of them was directly over your head, and one of them was 50 miles to the south. The one over your head, you could imagine, is your summer sun, and the one 50 miles to the south is your winter sun. It's farther away. It's lower in the sky. You see it lower in the sky, just like we see it. Right now, South America is having their summer because we're in December, and we're having our winter. As you see, Miami, it's still warm because they're kind of close to the sun, but Connecticut, New York is cold because it's farther from the sun. So why is it warm in between the tropics? Because the sun never leaves the tropics. It always travels 6 months in, 6 months out, and it's always in that tropical range. So anything that's in between those two yellow lines is always in the tropics. That's why it's warm.
But again, if we're flat and the sun is still above us, how is there night and day? Wouldn't it be always?
So you go, so in the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, you go to where does the sun go, and you pull up the videos there, and this will show you how the sun sets. So here's a very simple one right here, and it shows you, I've added 3 clouds in there due to perspective. I just jump forward here, and the sun is just moving away. So there's a fence right there, and the sun is just moving away, and it sets behind the fence. And here's some buildings, and as the sun moves away, it sets behind those buildings. So it looks like it's going down. It's just going away. And then here we got some mountains that's going away. And now I have clouds. Let me jump back a little bit. And so we have a cloud deck. It looks like it's setting, but it's just going away. But look, it pops out below that cloud. The next cloud is kind of merged with the horizon, so you never see the sun come up. That's where the sun goes. It just goes away, and it gets cut off due to perspective. In here there's a bunch of videos that will show you how that perspective works.
Where are these videos from?
Yeah, so these are all on YouTube, but if you Google flat Earth sunsets, if you Google top 10 reasons the Earth is flat, you're going to get top 10 reasons the Earth is a globe. If you Google, moon landing hoax, you're going to get moon landing hoax busting videos that are fed to you by Google because they're hiding all of this information. So this app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, bypasses those algorithms and brings you all of the stuff. Let me show you a quick video here. This will show you how we set this line on the left here. The line on, I don't know if you can see my I can mouse. See you. Yeah, so this line here, you see my mouse?
Yep. Yeah.
This line is level. This line is a level line. It's this line right here. But we're watching it from the surface of the counter, the flat Earth counter, and that's how the sun sets. And here's the sun setting. You would think it would go below here, but this line here is where the atmosphere becomes too thick, and the sun sets behind what I call the atmospheric deck of opacity. And that's why the sun sets. It's just going away. And this is scientifically provable. And now there's other times where we could watch the sun in a high, dry place where there's no moisture in the atmosphere. And let me find that video. And you'll see the sun just go away, and it shrinks to a tiny little dot. This is a elevated plain in Africa, and there's no humidity, so there's nothing really to block the sun until it gets really far away. And as you can see, it's not going down; it's going away. But if you have humidity in the air, which will magnify the sun, and then you get that deck of opacity, you'll look like the sun is setting, just like I showed you in that last one. But this is just showing you the sun is going away and the light doesn't travel that far. There's tons of videos that'll show you more and more how perspective works. This is actually the whole setup on that video. Does that kind of explain it, ladies, a little bit?
A little bit.
Let me show you one more. Let me show you one more thing. This one, I'm trying not to talk too much, but this is the easiest way to show you because I don't have my green screen available. So when the sun moves away, it gets magnified by the moisture in the air. So we're looking at a candle being pulled away across a flat table, and we're looking through a magnifying lens. So as it's going away, it's shrinking due to perspective, but it's being magnified due to the magnification effect of the moisture in the atmosphere, which I have this lens creating. So if I jump forward a little bit, this is what we're seeing. The camera is filming the sun going away, and it looks like it's setting below the table, but it's really above the table. And this is how your eyes work. This is how the atmosphere works.
Well, we call those in work optical contusions.
Yeah, look at the top. The top is a blow up of the sun setting below a horizon, but the bottom is what it's actually filming. So that's where the sun goes. Again, it's not something you can learn in 5 minutes, but all of these videos here will show you how that works. And these videos you will not see served on Google. They will not serve them to you. Next question.
Okay, hang on 1 second. There's somebody in the chat room that says your full interview with the two gals posted 9 hours ago just got pulled by YouTube. Keep up the good work, man. Okay, we may have posted the thing, but it's still, we're live now. So if they pull it, I'm not going to be a happy bunny. I may not agree.
No. They weren't talking about this. They were talking about a video I did with two women, and I put up a teaser. Yeah, it got pulled, but I downloaded it already. I figured it was going to get pulled. I will upload that to BitChute and link it in the video by the end of the night tonight. So if anyone that hasn't seen it yet, just go to my video, my newest video on my channel, DITRH, and I will update the link to a BitChute link in the very near future.
Okay, so why would it have gotten pulled? Because it's what they consider not correct?
No, because I'll tell you what happened. The girl started asking me about COVID, and I started giving my opinions on it. And you're not allowed to do that. You know, like if somebody said that, you know, the Johnson & Johnson shot is very dangerous and it could kill you, you get a strike for that. But you know, the CDC came out and said, said that they're saying the same thing. So I'm not saying anything.
They have the right to say all these things, but
exactly. And just for anybody in the chat room, I'm going to ask that, yes, please remember that we want respectful certain people. Okay, respect. And yes, David, you have a lot of patience for a lot of people that have, I'm sure that you have gotten so much stuff thrown at you. But this is a safe place, and I want everybody to behave. Otherwise, y'all gonna have to deal with me. And whether you like it, I know it's weird. I don't understand why.
I'm looking
but so that's weird. Why am I echoing? What am I echoing with?
I don't know. I'm trying to find.
Hear me.
All right.
You got me, Jojo. All right.
I'm not sure. But all right, so we are not, all right, like the Bible used to say that the earth was square and then it turned to a disc. Is it a disc? What's on the other side? If we're flat, what is on the other side? Can you dig through to the other side? What is it like these pictures on either side of me?
Oh, there! I was trying to find our window. I found it. So what is on the other side? Well, nobody knows because it's not a disc floating in space like you guys have pictured in this thumbnail. That is from the Flat Earth Society, what you're showing, and that is a disinformation site to make people believe that things fall off the edge of the Earth. So the deepest hole ever dug is called the Great Borehole in Russia, and they've only got just under 8 miles down, and that's the deepest they've ever gotten. So that somehow they know what goes down to the center of the earth. That's all pseudoscience. You know, when they dug that hole, it's equivalent to drilling through halfway through the skin of an apple. And they were wrong guessing what they were going to hit as they were digging through that skin. Then all of a sudden they hit an impenetrable barrier. And then somehow they know what's at the center of the earth. So the answer is nobody knows what's below 7.5 miles.
Okay, but we dive down, we go in submarines, we go down below,
not 7.5 miles. There's an impenetrable barrier at that depth, and nobody can get through it.
Okay. This is like, this is not my genre.
That's okay. Listen, you're here to ask questions. When I first I asked all these same questions, so let's dig in.
When did you first question this anyway?
About 6 years ago, people started suggesting that I look into flat Earth, and I, as any smart person would do, I would just delete their emails and ban them from our social media for being so stupid. I wouldn't even let them listen to my podcast if I could, because they're too stupid. The Earth being flat, come on. And but then I was forced to look into it, and I went into it with a closed mind. I'm just going to prove the globe and disprove flat Earth at the same time. And all of the proofs that I thought I had actually prove that the Earth is flat. Seasons prove the Earth is flat. Seasons are impossible on a globe. Did you know that on a globe, on the, we're taught. Hold on, I just
disappeared.
Grabbing a prop. I'm grabbing some props. So here's the United States right here. Sun's here. We're taught that when we're tilted towards the sun, that's when we have our summer, because we have direct rays. And when we're tilted away, the rays, skim across the earth and we don't get as much heat. Did you know that during our summer, we're 3.5 million miles farther away from the sun than we are during our winter, where we're closer to the sun in the heliocentric model? That makes no sense. Okay. And then also when the sun rises, the sun is literally at the most severe angle, right? And in the summer, when we're 3.5 million miles farther away from the sun, at sunrise, when the sun is at the most severe tilt, the worst angle, you can feel the heat on your face here in Connecticut. And I can feel the heat, like strong sun, just at sunrise. Then 6 months later, when the sun is all the way out over Capricorn, at the highest point of the day, which is like 50 degrees up in the sky, when I have a much more direct angle and we're 3.5 million miles closer to the sun, I can't even feel the heat on my face. That completely disproves the heliocentric seasons model.
But how come you can't drive off the edge of the earth then?
because that's what we call mind control. You're programmed to believe that the earth is I'm stalling as I'm pulling up some images because I don't have my thing. Where is it? So the earth is not a disk floating in space. The earth is, like, as I was explaining earlier, like a pond.
Yeah,
okay?
I heard you. And
it's
then
like a pond. And so the edge, if you went to the edge of the pond, would you fall off the pond?
Well,
no.
Apparently there would be an end. I mean, there is an end.
Well, so let's say there's a big lake in Kansas and you're sailing around the lake, and one day you sail to the edge of the lake and you climb out of your boat and you're now in Kansas. Can you fall off the edge of the lake? The answer is no. So now you're going to start walking, right? And to find out where the edge of Kansas is. Well, when you get to the edge of Kansas, you can find more land, and it could go on forever, but you don't know because no one's allowed to go beyond the edge of the lake. It's off limits to everybody.
People go up to Antarctica. There are bases and everything in Antarctica.
So they have bases in Antarctica right along the edge, and you can go on a vacation there. It'll cost you between $10,000 and $30,000 just to go for a couple days. And they basically show you some icebergs. They show you some penguins, and then that's it. No one is allowed to explore the outer lands of Antarctica. But I call
though. All right. So if you're in the center of this flat Earth and you pick a direction, any direction, you're going to end up in Antarctica.
Yes, absolutely. Any straight line will take you right back. Will take you to Antarctica. And I'll show you again. Let me share, because this is the easiest way to do it. Share screen, share screen window. So every straight line ends up going south. Where is my?
You gotta do screen share again.
Where's the app? Yeah, I can't find it though. Hold on. It is.
Yeah. Oh, this is the delays on this is my fault.
Yeah, that's not that. This isn't your fault. So when you leave New York, you could head east and keep dead reckoning east, and end up right back in New York. Eventually, you go around the whole world, right? That's what you're talking about. You with me?
Yep.
So
my daughter did
billions of people have done it. So here we go. So share that on the screen for everybody, please. So just like the sun,
stop.
Can you pull up? Yep, there you go. So the sun, I'm going to speed it up. The sun circles around. So the center is the North Pole. The sun is heading west, and west is a circle around the North Pole. That's the same on a flat Earth and a globe Earth. Let me stop this, and I'll turn on the compass. So there's the compass. North is the center. Every direction away from the center is south. So if I'm here, I can go south. I can also go south this way. I can also go south this way. I can go south. Every way is south. Now, east and west, if I'm here in New York, or let's say I'm in Miami, and I head east, I'm following my compass. Now, my compass is pointing towards the north, so I want to go 90 degrees tangent to that needle. I have to keep turning to the left to maintain a heading of 90 degrees. I maintain that heading all the way around. I'm following my compass. I think I'm going in a straight line because this is a giant circle. And I end up right back in Miami. I can do the same thing going west all the way around and come all the way around and back to Miami. I can even go from Miami, I can go north in a straight line. And as soon as I pass the North Pole, I'm now heading south and I'm going to Japan. I make it all the way to Japan. I can go from Miami. I could head dead west and end up in Japan. I can go from Miami. I could head dead east and end up in Japan. What I can't do is I can't go from Santiago. Hold on. I can't go from Chile down south and pop up over in Australia. Nobody has ever done it. It's never been done. Never been done.
Is that because it would be flying over the Antarctica?
No, you can go around Antarctica. No one has ever done it. And the airplane routes that they have are completely ridiculous. The routes that airplanes take, they make absolutely no sense on a flat Earth. So let me show you. There we go. Airplane routes. So did that come up? Yeah.
You just get a screen share again.
Oh no, I don't want a screen share. Sorry.
Up here. Yep, I see you. Yep.
Yeah. So if you can, I guess I don't know if you can feature me. So if you're in Santiago, you'd want to cut right across the bottom, across Antarctica or just around Antarctica. It's the shortest trip to go to Australia. But that's the Eastern Australia. To go to Western Australia, the flight route they take is all the way up, all the way over to Europe and Dubai, and then down here. Why would they do this entire route? And the answer is because when you look at it on a flat Earth map, we go all the way up to America, across over to Europe, to Dubai, and Western Australia. It's a straight line. That's the route airplanes take. They go all the way across the Northern Hemisphere. Makes zero sense. 0 cents on a globe. Makes perfect sense on a flat Earth.
Huh. I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, well, ladies, you're being presented with information that you were never taught in school. Here's another one for you. So this is Buenos Aires is a major city in South America. So here we are. I'm going to show you in a second so it loads. Buenos Aires. This is the quickest route. Now, you're not allowed to fly over Antarctica, and the reason is because they say because they don't want to disturb the penguins, which is nonsense. It's because you can't fly over Antarctica, because if you explored Antarctica, you'd find out it's not a little island at the bottom of a ball. It's the perimeter of the world. So how do you go? There's 2 plane routes that go from Buenos Aires to Perth, Australia, and this is the routes they go. Let me just pull it up. Whoops. I got to undo something first because it only allows me to load a certain number of pictures. Here we go. Buenos Aires. So anybody that wants to go from Buenos Aires to Perth, this is the route they take. Okay. So they go from Buenos Aires, they go all the way over to Houston and then to LA, or they go to Miami and then to LA. Then they go all the way over to Sydney, and then they cut all the way over to Perth. Or they go this way. They go all the way up to Europe, and then over to Singapore, and then over here. And it takes like a day and a half, 2 days, right? This is the route that they take.
Where are the airports too, though? The international airports, you got to land.
No. There's people, these planes fill up from Buenos Aires. Everybody wants to go over here. And these are the routes that they take. If they wanted to do it, I mean, the shortest route is here. This is the shortest route. Okay.
Well, wouldn't it be dangerous to fly over Antarctica because of?
Well, that's what they say. That's the story. But there's Easter Island out here. There's all these islands out here with international airports on them. They could just fly this way, which is a third of the distance. A third of the distance.
But now, are we supposed to believe that the whole world is perpetrating a fraud on us?
No,
and that they all know this.
You're not supposed to believe that. The truth is that the NASA, who is proven liars, is in charge of all plane routes. NASA, right, is in charge of all GPS, which is a ground-based system, by the way, and they are in charge of all the flight routes. So, the planes that take these trips, the pilots aren't even flying them. Pilots land them and take off, but the plane does everything. They don't even know where they're going. Now, there are plenty of pilots that have spoken out. We had one woman pilot from KLM, international pilot, who came on, told us how the things that she sees only make sense on a flat Earth, how the planes fly straight and level with their gyros, which hold rigidity in space. And they don't nose down a mile every 2 minutes on average when flying, for an hour. In an hour, you'd be 30,000 feet higher if you didn't nose down on an average of a mile every 2 minutes. So that's because airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. And there's NASA documents, there's FAA documents that say that they treat the world that, for these airplanes, the model is for a flat, non-rotating plane. There's dozens of documents that say the Earth is a flat, non-rotating plane for all simulations.
But where are all these pictures coming from? All these satellites? I mean, what are they?
Yeah, what pictures? What pictures? These pictures, like this. This is Jupiter, the one that we've all seen in 2014. And in 2016, NASA goes, look, we have northern lights. That proves that it has a molten metal core, just like the Earth. Well, look at this picture. This is a gaseous planet. This storm right here is a hurricane bigger than the Earth, they tell us. Okay. And these clouds are moving in different directions. There's not a single difference in over 2 years between these clouds. See this little cloud right here? It's exactly right there. Same cloud. This is the exact same picture, just darkened a little bit, and they put a little friggin' northern lights on it. That's what NASA wants you to believe is real. That picture alone should tell you that, we're not moving.
But like United States is not the only one saying that they have satellites out there. I mean, every
there's no
country has satellites out there. How are we sending signals around? How are we doing this?
just so you know, all of the countries, all of the space agencies are in this together. They're all part of this deception, and they don't even say that internet signals use satellites. They're all done with undersea cables. They're all done with transcontinental or transoceanic underwater fiber optic cables that carry 99% of the world's communication. So I'm just pulling it up. So hold on. Let me one thing at a time.
Imagery.
Good.
Satellite imagery only appears to be from airplane height or thereabouts, says Wee Willie.
Yeah, so all the imagery are from high-flying aircraft and from balloons. NASA has tens of thousands of what they call satelloons up there, which are balloons that are holding satellites that are with up to 8,000 pounds.
Bigger, Mama?
They're on balloons. So look, here is a map of all of the cables. These are the internet cables that 99% of all communications go through. And what you'll notice is there's not one from Santiago to Australia, which would be much closer on a globe. Because if they ever said, "Hey, we need to run a cable. Let's hire a cable company." Okay, I need 13,000 miles of cable, and they would go, and then they'd be halfway there, or not even halfway, and they go, "We ran out of cable, and we got nothing but ocean ahead of us," right? And that's because these are Santiago and Australia are at opposite ends of the Earth pond. They're at opposite ends.
How do you measure this?
How do you measure what?
This span, is it the 7,009 or almost 8,000 miles wide? Like,
well, NASA, we can't measure the Earth. NASA gives us, stuff that we can't verify. But again, when we looked at that map, we verified that the width of the Earth doesn't make any sense with the images that they're showing us, and they're images. NASA admits they have no photos of Earth. They admitted
they have all this, that every planet has its, diameters.
Yeah, well, it's all made up. It's all nonsense. When you look at what planets actually look like through real telescopes and real super zoom lenses, they don't look nothing like what NASA and Disney show us. NASA and Disney are the only sources of planets. But I showed you Jupiter. I'm showing you that they're faking Jupiter. They're faking Jupiter. They're faking Mars. They're faking Mars. They admit they're faking the Earth. They can't get the size of the continents right. This is not what the Earth would look like. And they're faking everything from space. There's nothing verifiable that they show you.
Okay. But now what about these guys? Okay.
What guys? What guys?
This whole crew of the Challenger.
Yeah.
They died. Right?
Did they?
Well, what are they hiding somewhere? Are they keeping them in an underground cave? They blew up.
Yeah.
What about all the astronauts? What about?
So all of the astronauts are liars. They basically are just liars. They if you look at the guys that were they came back from the moon at their press conference, they literally were being forced to lie, and they were horrified that they had to lie. Here's pictures of the guys that when they got back from the moon. Does this look like three guys that were the first guys to go to the moon and make first guys to go to the moon and make it back alive? No, these guys are being forced to lie. But as far as the Challenger, nobody is ever on those rockets. They're faked. What they are is helium. The external tank on the rockets is a helium tank. It's a lighter than air vehicle. The external tanks are actual rockets. They go up, they curve over, and they go out over the ocean, over the Bermuda Triangle, and they ditch it there where there's no one to see it. And they basically show you a cartoon. The astronauts are at another facility and in a fake rocket where they give you all of the footage, and they do stuff from zero-G planes, and they hide in a base in Alaska the whole time they're in space. But as far as are they hiding? Not really. They're in plain sight. All of the Challenger astronauts except one have been identified. They're all working for universities. They all claim that they're the identical twin of their dead sibling. They have the same name, They look the same. They talk the same. They have the same birthdays. They have the same names, and none of them
Are we in the
showed up
Twilight Zone then?
none of them showed up at their siblings' funerals. Right? If you had a twin brother or sister that died, would you show up at their funeral? Probably speak. None of them were at their funerals. You know why? Because they're not dead. These are them. This is Judith Resnick. You should hear a speech of Judith the astronaut and Judith the Yale professor. They look the same. They have the same dimples. They have the same teeth. They have the same voice. They have the same mannerisms. They have the same hair, everything. They have the same.
If they're identical twins, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they all have identical twins that there's no record of.
Everybody on this thing.
There's no record of them having an identical twin, and none of their twins showed up at the funeral. If you're going to believe all of that, then I can't help you.
So Mary Jane says, so other planets are not real?
Yeah, none of them are real. Go get a super zoom camera and look at Mars. If I had my other, maybe I can share it on the app.
So while you're searching, I'm going to ask a question that sort of just popped into the brain. And if anybody wants to comment on that one,
yeah.
I know. I'm going to try to read some of these comments.
Yeah. Go for it. So you're saying that we are the only planet, flat, round, or otherwise, in the universe.
So the Earth, we live in the Earth system, right? There's no space. Okay. If you could share that screen, and when you look up at planets, let me find the whole thing about planets make absolutely no sense. So here is the star Arcturus. This is what Arcturus looks like oops, let me see. That's the wrong one. Hold on. Here's a bunch of stars. So this is what they tell us the star Capella looks like. That's from NASA. But when we try to look at ourselves, that's what Capella actually looks like. Okay? Well, these are pulsing orbs of energy within the Earth system. They're all named after demigods, and they go in a perfectly predictable pattern, right? That's impossible in the heliocentric system. Let me show you another one. Where is it?
Well, now the Hubble is going to be getting traded out for a newer, bigger,
Hubble, the Hubble telescope is not real. So think about this. So this is the star Arcturus, right? You can see this yourself with a super zoom camera. It's here within the Earth system, and we could scientifically prove that the distance they tell us stars are impossible. The Hubble telescope. Think about this. On Earth, they took a photo of what they call the deep field or whatever, and they said they had a giant telescope here on Earth focused on a single point in the sky for like a long time. It took a long exposure photograph, and in that little tiny quarter-inch square of the sky they were looking at, there was 150 different, there was hundreds and hundreds of different galaxies, right? But they also showed you that this telescope is on like a cement pad that's like 20 feet thick, and it's bolted down because the slightest vibration will ruin the image because of the vibration of the mirror. Like someone's foot tapping would ruin the image. Okay. Did they forget that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, rocketing, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, moving sideways at 66,000 miles an hour, right? And then if it's
so you said the Hubble,
no, that's what I agree. We're not moving, but that's what they say. If they're taking a picture of deep space from a spinning Earth, where you can't tap on the ground because it'll ruin the picture, they're the Earth that it's sitting on.
But according to you, though, if we're not moving, that picture wouldn't be corrupted.
Correct. There you go. It's not corrupted. We're not moving. Welcome to Flat Earth. No, think about this. Think about this. Your Hubble telescope.
But we're sitting here. We're still moving all that stuff, but we're not physically, getting thrown out of whack because we have gravity that's holding us in place. There's magnetic forces in play. There's all the things that are keeping us stationary. We're not floating off.
Yeah,
We're
that's a
not
cool
in
story.
negative.
Cool story.
Well, how else would it work?
Let's get back. I'll explain how it works perfectly. The Hubble telescope. So the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and the Hubble telescope somehow spinning with the Earth. It's chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. The Hubble telescope's chasing the sun, but the Hubble telescope's also going an additional 17,500 miles an hour just to orbit the Earth. So the Hubble telescope's moving in 5 directions at once, and somehow it can take a picture of deep space. Give me a break. It's also in the thermosphere where it's like 3,000 degrees. Name a metal or a mirror that can survive 3,000 degrees. Okay, it's all nonsense. Why hasn't the Hubble telescope ever looked at the moon or even the Earth? How come they don't show us cruise ships and tankers upside down in Australia, where the gravity that you're talking about can hold on trillions and trillions of tons of ocean, and upside down cargo ships, but a human can jump and a butterfly can fly? None of that makes any sense. The Earth is flat and stationary. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. Boats, the Suez Canal goes for over 100 miles. It was built on a straight datum line with no curvature. There should be over a mile of curvature in that canal, but there's none. It's on a straight datum line. So the Earth is stationary. You're not moving in any direction. Okay, you're not moving at all. Everything we see in the sky is circling around us. The sun, moon, and stars. Let me show you. The sun, moon, and stars. Let's share my screen again in 2 seconds. Did I close that window? I keep closing that window. Oh, there it is.
You do.
There you go. So share that if you would. So the sun, moon, and stars, they go around. So the sun laps the moon once every 28 days. Watch, the sun will gain distance on the moon. The sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days. Months, they used to call them. But now they have 12 months of varying days. And that's just to throw us off. And also, you can see that the sun is not connected to the hour hand because we're in daylight savings time, which is fake time. The sun is where it's noon. So I'll slow that down. I'll turn on the stars. The zodiac stars spin around with the sun and the moon. They go slightly faster than the sun. So the sun will be in each zodiac for a month. Next month, it's moving.
Is the North Star the exact center?
The North Star is the exact center, right? Polaris, right? We're whirling and twirling and cruising in all these different directions, right? We're orbiting and we're corkscrewing through the universe, traveling trillions of miles. And somehow, if we go to the Georgia Guidestones, there's a little hole that if you look through it, the North Star is right there. It never moves. Did you pull that up or did I pull that up?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
So the Georgia Guidestones, so right out there's that slit in that middle stone. On the other side, if you look through that hole, it's a slit hole. So if I look through this plane of the hole, it shows me when the sun is at the Tropic of Capricorn exactly, and the other one shows me when the sun is at the Tropic of Cancer exactly. And if you look through the hole, the North Star lines up with that hole. So the Georgia Guidestones.
When was that?
It was built 1981, I think. And so it's been up for over 40 years, and the North Star has never moved from that hole. Never moved. So the Georgia Guidestones are a clock and a calendar with the New World Order's marching orders on there. Okay, what do you think is going on? This alone proves that we're not moving through space. This is impossible in a heliocentric beehive, solar system. Lots to think about. Lots to think about.
I'm telling you.
For just for everybody else who's listening, on our good God, my head is spinning. Okay, on our Anchor FM menus, please make sure. Oh, he's gonna mess with me there, isn't he? Please make sure you go to our YouTube channel. Check out this video. It's gonna make your mind spin. Unlike the Earth, as Dave would say.
There you go. Very good. Thank you,
everybody. Gina. I just said no. It's starting, Mama D. Okay. Everybody in the chat room, the comments, if we don't get to you right now, we will be going back over everything. So
yeah,
and messaging, commenting, because there's like a shite load, and I'm being nice about that.
Right, there are a lot.
Mary
Jane says, "Where are the zodiacs if there is no space?"
So very good. So when we look up at the stars with our super zoom cameras, we can zoom in and focus on some stars, and all of the stars are in the same focal length. So that kind of tells you that they're right there, above, inside the firmament. They spin around, they're fixed in their positions. And then there's the wandering stars, which used to be called planets, plane with a T. They're all named after demigods. They have their own repeating path. If the Earth was of the solar system and the Milky Way galaxy was this random thing of spinning stars and planets and moons, all of them having different gravities, tugging on each other, nothing would ever repeat. But it repeats every year. If you go out and look at the stars tonight at 10 o'clock or midnight or whenever, make a little chart of the prominent stars. Next year, same night, same time, go out. Every star will be in the exact same position. The exact same position every year for decades, for millennia. Did you know that eclipses, which seem pretty random, they're also impossible, would they repeat every 18 years? They're on a cycle, and they repeat every 18 years, again and again and again and again.
I read something somewhere in here. It says about that it would always be midnight if there was an eclipse on a flat Earth.
That's ridiculous. So on a flat Earth, you have the if it's the moon, and I believe it is the moon, but not the way they explain it. As it goes by, it eclipses the sun. Well, just a little area is going to have the eclipse, and the eclipse will move across, and then that's it. Eclipse, and it's gone. What's amazing about a lunar eclipse, when the moon blocks the sun, you should be able to see the surface of the moon, and nobody ever has. It's just blocked. It's black. No one's ever seen the moon. The earth shine should be bright enough to light up the moon, just like the moonshine lights up the earth. But there is nothing. No one's ever seen the moon approach the sun, eclipse the sun, or exit the sun. Not even from the International Fake Station.
Here's a question. I don't know how to pronounce that. Apollyon music. When you know how sound works, you can easily prove that the Earth doesn't move. It's at that point, once you know it doesn't move, you know it's not a ball. When you know it's not a ball, you know it's flat.
Well, I 99% agree with that.
What does sound have to do with that, though?
So sound travels at about 700 miles per hour. At the equator, the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. In Miami, it's spinning, like 850 miles an hour or whatever. And so when you're watching the sunset, you believe that when you're watching the sunset, that you're sitting on the top of a ball and you're falling over backwards, which is making the sun appear to set to you. Okay. You believe that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. That sounds ridiculous, but if you believe in the heliocentric spinning Earth model, then that's what you believe. That's insanity. And check this out. Space is a vacuum. There's no pressure. There's no air. Everything exploded, whatever. And then all of the rocky bits turned into planets, and all of the gases coalesced into bigger gravitational balls and left a vacuum in between. When have you heard that a gas ball can survive in a vacuum? You put a gas ball in a vacuum, whoosh, it just distributes through the vacuum. How can a gas ball hold on to a distant Earth and have a vacuum in between? All of it is complete and utter nonsense that you've been brainwashed. I was too, not just you. We all were, before we had the ability to think. When you went to school, Globe in your class, Globe books, taught you about the solar system, was one of the first worksheets you ever brought home, right? That's what they teach you in school. Sesame Street, have astronauts on there, right? This is all Globe programming.
Yeah, Ashley, this is a good question. All right, so why isn't there an eclipse every year at the same time? So if we're flat and we're not moving, and the moon is doing its thing and the sun is doing its thing, and they're doing the same thing constantly, we would have the same thing all the time, wouldn't
No.
we?
No. So let me pull up my video. So if you could share that screen when I go to eclipses, and where is it? Here we go. So the way this is, it's kind of hard to see there. This isn't to scale, of course. The sun circles in between those two tropics. So right now it's leaving the Tropic of Capricorn and moving towards the equator and towards the Tropic of Cancer. That happens every 6 months. It takes to go in and out. The moon does the same thing every 28 days. So right now the moon is over the Tropic of Cancer, and now it's moving out to Capricorn. The sun happens to be moving out to Capricorn. Doesn't happen all the time, but this time they're both going to pass at a nodal point, and this is when an eclipse happens. Okay, this only happens, and then the next time they come around, they might not be there at the same time. Okay, that's how the sun and the moon works. When the sun is in over the Tropic of Cancer, the inner circle, Alaska and Norway have the 24-hour sun. It never sets because it never gets far enough away. Well, guess what? They also have in the inner north, in the Arctic, they also have a 24-hour moon every month. Every month for a week, the moon never sets. It just circles around them. That's because once a month it's over the Tropic of Cancer, and that's the smallest circle, and it never gets far enough away to set. This is an eclipse from an airplane.
What is actually moving here, though?
So the Earth is not moving. The sun and the moon that we see are moving. And they're not physical objects like you think. The sun and the moon that we see are apparent objects. They're not physical. I believe that the sun and the moon are within the sky, within the dome, which is liquid.
Wait a minute. Our atmosphere? You mean the
sky
the ozone layer is what? Is liquid?
No, well, as you go up, the air is thinner, and then it becomes liquid, and then it becomes solid, and that's the outside of the dome. Again, this is research that we've done. This is all sorts of tests. This is whistleblowers from NASA. But that's what we believe. Again, you don't need to look at the lights in your ceiling to figure out the shape of your floor. You can just measure the floor. Okay. The lights in your ceiling have no correlation to the floor, but you're looking at lights in the sky. Like, have you ever looked up and seen Mars?
Well, I've seen it out on the beach, down the Cape Cod, you can see
right.
like
So, but you looked up and you've seen Mars, right? And it's literally like a little piece of the sun. It's as bright as the sun, but it's a star size, a little bigger than a star, right?
Yeah, the orange.
So think about what NASA shows us when they show us Mars. They show us a dusty, dirty ball, kind of like a desert, right? And when you're on Mars, you're really far from the sun because it's way farther than the Earth. So the sun isn't even, the size that we see it. The sun is way smaller from Mars. You have to believe that distant, dim sun is lighting up that desert where it's reflecting light all the way back to Earth, and you're seeing it brighter than a friggin' star. That makes no sense whatsoever. Because as light reflects off something, it gets dimmer and dimmer exponentially. Every time you double the distance, it's a quarter of the brightness. How can that light from the moon appear so bright to us? It's impossible. It's impossible. The Mars that we see is within the Earth system. It's within our atmosphere.
Oh, Mary Jane says, so we live in a dome, but the Earth isn't round.
The question is the dome physical? Is the dome solid? Is there a way through the dome? Is there more land beyond the dome? That's always an interesting one. There could be more land beyond Antarctica with other suns.
Now, how were you said that there were things, experiments and whatnot's being done about the atmosphere. What was actually done by who?
Well, there's all sorts of stuff. I just deleted the picture. We've sent balloons up to 120,000 feet, which one shows it's flat. Two, the balloons land, very close to where they took off, and sometimes even east of where they took off, when they should have landed 3,000-4,000 miles to the west because of the spinning Earth, but they don't. They just land kind of near where they took off from, even though they've been up for 3.5 hours.
But it's the same thing. If you're in a plane and you're traveling and you travel, how fast does the plane go? You throw something up in the air, it's not going to come up and hit you in the face. It's because that's space within where you are.
So now take off the outside of the plane and double the speed, and tell me if you throw that ball up, what's going to happen? Because unless you're saying that the Earth is enclosed like you are in an airplane, your comment is pointless.
Oh, this is like, it's just
mind blowing.
It's pretty amazing once you look at it. Like here's a shot of a balloon. This is at, I believe, 100,000 feet, and let me let it come up. It takes a second to load. So this is at 100,000 feet. So over here is daylight. This is where the sun is. The sun's way out over here, and these people are in daylight, right? And the sun is electric in nature, and it's fluorescing the sky and the dome. And nitrogen, which is mostly what's up here, it fluoresces blue. Get a nitrogen bulb, turn it on, it's blue. And then over here, it's pitch black. Down here, this is Earth down here. It's pitch black because this light can't make it all the way over there. This is light again next to night, day and night, side by side, no barrier.
Well, light only bends so much.
Light doesn't bend. It can bend through the atmosphere a little bit. You're right there. I retract that statement. But we sent up a balloon in Arizona with high definition cameras looking up. Before the balloon took off, those cameras could see all the most beautiful starry night ever. So when it goes up, when it gets to 10,000 feet above the thickness, above any moisture in the atmosphere, what would you think the stars would look like? Brighter, better, bigger, right? More, mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. By the time it got to 50,000 feet, there was no stars. Figure that one out.
So what are you saying? The stars are in our Earth?
What I'm saying is the stars are optical. We're seeing them. They have a direct relationship to us. We are, and we all see them in a position relative to where we are. And as you go up, you can no longer see them. They're kind of being projected into our reality. And when you leave the Earth, everything changes. They did, I don't know if you remember in the 70s and the 60s, they were doing these testing, how high pilots can go. And the report, some of them said, they lose consciousness at I forget how high it was. Maybe it was 80,000 feet, 100,000 feet. And one or more of them said that they could see through their eyelids and weird things were happening. And that's because we are part of the Earth system. We are connected to this electrical system, this Earth system. We are electrical beings. This entire system is part of us. And, we're totally being lied to about what it is, because the people that are ruling this world, I believe they've ruled it for a long time, and the peasants really didn't care about the shape of the Earth because they were just wanting to survive. Well, we've gone through the Industrial Revolution, and people have, gotten smarter and taken more power, and the elite decided to hide what the true nature of this world is and keep us as slaves. And it's hard to keep someone as a slave because when they know they're in a cage, they revolt. So they put us on a ball, which is just a prison for our mind. When in reality, there could be more land beyond Antarctica. There could be extra territory in the outer space beyond Antarctica, right? Other lands, other suns.
Okay. All right. Before I go there, I want to go.
That's
here.
A speculation.
Okay,
Again,
hang on.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
Before you go anywhere, we need to take a break. And
no, I'm not going to.
No?
Okay.
I'm not
going to do the break because I don't want to lose any of this.
My job's over there.
Okay. Thank you, Mama. But yeah, no break. No videos in the middle of tonight. Okay. If Oxbow Spirit says airplane is a closed system, Earth is claimed to be an open system, demonstrate gas pressure without necessary antecedent
Antecedent of a yeah.
container. Anybody contradictions? All right, but I mean, because this is what we were talking about the airplane when you throw the thing, But Earth is a closed system. If you have a dome, it's a closed system.
Okay, we're saying the Earth is a closed system, absolutely, and it's not moving.
So this is why we're not, like.
Welcome to flat Earth. You're defending the flat Earth side because you're saying you're pointing out what I'm saying works on a flat Earth, does not work on a spinning unclosed ball Earth with a pressurized atmosphere.
The round Earth has the same thing. We still we still have an ozone layer. We still have.
What's holding the air from getting sucked into space?
The ozone layer.
No, but no scientist even says that. You just made that up.
No, I did not.
The ozone layer is a gas. Hang on. How does a gas ozone? Hold on, Gina, you're not thinking. How does gas contain? How does gas make a container? You can't have gas without a container.
I'm just saying they have proven that there were holes in the ozone layer.
No, they haven't. They told you a nice story about that. And you know what? There very well might be holes in the ozone layer, but the ozone layer is a gas. It's just a layer of gas. If you had a room full of nitrogen and oxygen and helium,
right, so
hold on, I got to finish my statement. If you had a room with those three gases in it and you sealed it off and nothing you moved and no heat or anything, the helium would go to the top. You'd have the helium layer,
right,
and then you'd have the oxygen and nitrogen layer. And so there would be your layers. The gas is not the container. The room is the container. What is containing the ozone?
The universe is containing the ozone. There's no air in the universe. So that pressure is holding our ozone layer here, right? Because otherwise we'll all fly away.
This is what I call when your brain is scrambling to hold on to a world belief that you're making shit up. You are.
Well, seriously, there's no air in space,
and therefore that's what they say, but that's impossible.
That causes the pressure.
No,
you take the air. If you take the air out of a bottle, does it not collapse?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you take the air out of the universe, so this.
Let me ask you a question. If you took the air out of a bottle and you put the top on that bottle, and there's no air in the bottle, and I turned it upside down, and I opened up the top, what would happen?
I don't know. I haven't done it. I could do it.
Do it. That bottle will collapse. But if you do it, it'll suck all the air up into it. If you took that bottle that you sucked the air out of, put the cap on it, if you put that nose of the bottle underwater and then you opened it up, it would suck. Whoops. Almost lost my computer.
Oh, jeez.
You would suck water up and away. It would the suction of the bottle of that vacuum or even just low pressure would suck water up and away. Water's heavier than air. How come the super vacuum of space doesn't suck the air up and away? You're supposed to say gravity at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, because we have magnetic fields. You said that we are magnetic beings, that we are energetic magnetic beings.
Yeah. Do you ever see a magnet hold on to air?
There's particles in the air. There's different. I mean, how the other planets do the same thing. I mean, Saturn has its gaseous.
You don't know anything about Saturn. I could tell you Saturn's the size of a basketball, and you couldn't prove me wrong because you don't know how far it is. You don't know what it is. You don't know how big it is. You're listening to the liars at NASA tell you what Saturn is.
But I just really find it so hard to believe that everybody would.
Who's everybody? Very few people know.
Russia, Japan, everyone that has
how many people died? How many people died in all of the battles in the Cold War?
A lot.
None. There were no battles. No one died because the Cold War is all made up.
I'm just thinking
the division of countries is completely made up. It's completely made up.
Wars in general, though. It's just
so
It's pointless. But that just proves that the world can't get along. How are they
No,
getting
it
along
doesn't.
with
What
this?
it proves is the controllers can convince the slaves to go kill each other. That's all.
So who are the controllers?
The controllers are the banking families, the Rothschilds, the Bilderberg Group, the United Nations, the royal families, and the people that we don't even know who they are, because the controllers that we know have controllers. Okay. These are the royal bloodlines that have been running this world for quite a while.
I'm trying
and they're all going to get along. Well, here, okay, there's a lot of people in the chat room and a lot of comments and a lot of things. And yes, we are
saying anything. Stop it.
Yeah. Okay. First off, this young lady's name is not Tina, it's Gina. So let's get that one right. Okay.
He fixed it. He fixed it. But no, okay. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I'm listening. But I mean, I have been taught that the earth is round my whole life.
Yeah, me too. And we all have. You've been lied to your entire life.
Yeah, but just because hold on a second.
I'm finding it hard to believe that the whole world.
Not the whole world. I would say that 90% of our senators and congressmen have no friggin' idea. I would say that some presidents don't even know.
Okay. But here's my point, and I'm going to get it out there as quickly as possible, is that I believe, I'm going to speak for myself. I believe the earth is round. It's what I was taught. It's what I believe.
All right.
You believe because you did your research and what you learned through your educating yourself. You believe that the earth is not flat. It's a pond. Okay, but flat is me. Okay, flat. But that's your belief.
So hang on.
Everything that you've chosen to learn has been taught by somebody else.
No,
you cannot go out. Yeah, because you cannot go out and do what you just said.
Yes, I can. I'll tell you, I've done it. You can go out. So if the earth is a ball, like they say, 24,901 miles around, which is at the equator, then there should be a rate of curvature. That formula is 8 inches per mile squared. So at 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of drop. There's not. Right? We can go out, put a camera just above the surface of the water. We could zoom in on things at known distances that should be hundreds of feet beyond the curvature, miles below the curvature, and we can see them with today's optics. We can zoom in and see the things that should be behind a mountain of water. A submarine that uses sonar. They send out a sound wave. It bounces off of anything solid. They could time it. They can actually get an image of what they're seeing. A submarine at the bottom of the ocean can see another submarine over 100 miles away. Well, there should be a mountain over a mile high in between them, and there's not. It's flat. And ships on the surface of the water can put a pencil-thin laser beam on another ship over 100 miles away. Well, there should be a hump of water 6,600 feet high, and there isn't. We can see too far. That proves the earth is flat. Here's the question is, that's why I believe the earth is flat. We can see too far. That's one of the reasons. Now it's your turn. What's your reason besides somebody told me, or it's hard to believe? What's your reason that you think the earth is a globe?
I'm not saying it's saying hard to believe from what I was taught.
I understand.
Yes, somebody in the chat room said yes. Mama D has not done. What exactly did he say? I want to make sure. Mama D,
let me just say one thing. Gina and Mama D, you both are super sweet, trusting people, and I am too. Maybe not as sweet as you, but
for sure.
But it's hard to believe that we could be lied to on this level. The lie big or go home, which is what Hitler said. Okay. The lie is so big. But I'm not ripping the foundation of the world out from underneath you, because the foundation of your world, you're spinning on a speck flying through an infinite vacuum where an asteroid could take you out at any time, right? Where a sun could supernova, where all of these other things could happen. I'm putting a foundation under your feet. I'm showing you that you are at the center of creation, and that you are a powerful, important being that nobody can take your rights away unless you willingly give it away. And that's what they do. They use fear and lies to make you think that you're insignificant and powerless, and then you give away your rights. Okay? That's what this is about, control, because the controllers know they're not allowed to break free will.
Every world leader gets past the secret book.
They're all related. They're all related. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, he's Rockefeller's grandson. Look at Obama. They're all related. They're all in the same bloodlines. These families know what's going on. Okay? This is all, the presidents aren't elected. They're selected, right? They give us, hey, vote for the left arm of the monster or the right arm of the monster. They want us to vote so we think we're free, right? But they're selecting who's going in. It doesn't matter. This is all to keep us in control.
Well, I see that to a degree, but not on the the level that you're taking it to, like the conspiracy of the Earth itself. But you know what? All right, here's one. Okay, so lizard aliens are in control. What do you think of ETs or anything like that, or that the Earth people are starseed? Why? If the Earth is flat, why are there so many different species of people? You know what I mean? Like, how does this all happen?
Well, maybe the Earth is way bigger than they're telling us. Maybe people, extraterrestrials, come from the extra terra in the outer space beyond Antarctica. This is Antarctica, this ring, and there's aliens coming from here. If you were an extraterrestrial, you can say, hey, I got to go over to Australia, abduct somebody, anally probe them, and then you could leave at breakfast and make it home for dinner, okay? Rather than traveling billions of miles, trillions of miles. So think about this. The closest star is 25 trillion miles away, and the rest are magnitudes farther, okay? Do you know how far a trillion is, or how much a trillion is? How long is 1 trillion seconds? Take a guess. Just take a guess. No idea. Just take a guess.
A trillion seconds.
A trillion seconds. Take a guess.
Like years.
How many? 10 years? 5 years? 50 years? 100 years? 1,000 years?
Oh, 50. I have no clue.
31,000 years. So 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. You could do the math later. Trust me, I'm right. Okay.
Yeah, I believe you.
The closest star is 25 trillion miles away. So if they were going 25 miles a second, which is pretty damn friggin' fast, it would take 31,000 years for them to get here. Okay.
But what about wormholes and all that kind of stuff? That's what they're saying. That's how
cool
they're saying.
Cool story, Gina. So
there are
the other. Wait, hold on a second. The other stars are much farther away. Polaris, 233 light years away. Okay.
How do you know that? How do you measure that?
Well, it's not, because you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it if it was a light hour away, right? What they tell us a light hour is. You couldn't see it. This is all lies coming from NASA, right? So all of the stuff that we see is within the Earth system. It all affects us. Astrology is the real science. Astronomy is pseudoscience, okay? So we can scientifically prove that you can't see a star a light hour away, let alone light years away. Okay. The sun. If the sun was right next to the Earth, a mile over your head, look up, it would fill the entire sky, right?
Yeah.
So if I move the sun 93 million miles away, it gets pretty small, and it's a little dot in the sky, just like we see it. You with me?
Yep.
Okay. If I made it 8 times farther, do you think you could see it?
Probably not.
All right. That's a light hour. The closest star is 4.5 light years away. That's 40,000 times farther than that distance we made the sun. Just when you put the numbers together and you look at it, scientifically you can prove the angular size is too small for your eye to see. It gets too small and it disappears.
So where are the pictures of the galaxies coming from?
They're just pictures. They're coming from NASA. They're nonsense. You can zoom in. There's lights in the sky. Like, you ever see when they use a microscope and they zoom into the cells on a leaf? It kind of looks like you're going through space. Well, a telescope is the same thing. It's just bigger. They're zooming in on tiny little lights in the sky, and they're telling you that they're trillions of miles away and that they were there millions of years ago, and their light is finally getting to us. That is pseudoscience nonsense.
Okay. Jay Lynch in the chat room says you're using their science when it suits you. One second, let me put the question up. You're using their science when it suits you. Then blank word. They are when they are wrong and it doesn't. Okay, let's see. You're using their science when it suits you and then complain that they are wrong when it doesn't suit you.
I'm just showing you that their science is debunking themselves. I don't use their science for anything. I use their curvature formula to show you that the ball doesn't make any sense. We can see too far. I use common sense, regular science, real science instead of pseudoscience. I'm not using their science. Give me an example of what the heck you're talking about, because I don't know what it is.
Okay, wait.
Way too long.
What is this now? Radio telescopes information interpreted by artists of what it might be.
Yep.
That's what you think that's out there. They're all the same.
Here's an experiment. Do you think I can give you a scientist a telescope and say, all right, go a mile down the road, and I've got a can of gas. I'm not going to tell you what kind of gas it is, and I'm going to open it up. Do you think that scientist with the telescope could tell me what gas that is?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but they can look at a star that's trillions and trillions of miles away, and they can tell you what gas it's made out of, what gas is going around, what they allege is a planet because the star got dim for a second. You know, it lost 1 lumen of brightness. Nonsense. They're just making crap up. They're making crap up.
Okay, so now let's change the subject just a little bit.
Yes.
So you say there's no satellites.
Right. NASA is the biggest user of helium in the world, and they own almost all of the helium companies in the world.
Is that proven?
Yep.
Okay.
Don't believe me, though. Check it yourself.
All right. But now all these space missions that have gone up, and there are,
all fake.
Mercury,
all fake.
Gemini, Apollo,
all
Skylab, all those things. All right.
So
they're all fake. But we watch them taking off.
Yeah. Have you really watched them? I mean, just go look at the latest launch of, you know what? Let me pull one up for you. Okay. Let me pull one up. Give me a second.
All right. So while you're pulling that up, but let me finish though. All right. So now all these missions, and then we had the people that were orbiting the Earth, and there were times that you could see
a light in the sky. That's all you can see. You can see a light in the sky, and they have high flying aircraft with lights on them, and you don't know what they are. SpaceX launch, right? So. Let me find the most recent one for you. They're all of their launches are the most ridiculous things you've ever seen. They should have wiped this off the internet by now, but let's see. Let me while I'm looking, give me a second and let me know what else you got.
Okay.
These comments that there's so many. I will read every single one of these comments after.
Yeah.
And we're just posing all these questions here. We're not trying to be disrespectful.
No, you're not being disrespectful at all.
I don't want you guys in the chat room to be disrespectful of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Just because we're posing questions.
Listen, flat earthers get very emotional. So everybody relax. These ladies are hearing stuff they've never heard before. We were all there once. Give them a break. All right.
Yeah, absolutely never heard this.
Okay, and the point is what somebody mentioned in the chat room. We should watch somebody on Eric Dubai's 200 proofs.
Eric Dubai's 200 proofs. Yeah, absolutely. You can find that in the app.
Yes, we will. This is stuff like Gina says. This is stuff that's new to us. Okay, we asked David to be on the show because some people want to hear it. Some people will have their minds changed. Some people won't. But it doesn't mean that we need to.
Thank you.
Gonna breathe.
Yeah, because I printed out. I went in. I was trying to.
Gina's research.
different questions. I've got things all over the place about who's, gone into space and where and when and how many people and how many people have died and everything else. And then it's like I have all this stuff, I get all ready, and then I get here and I go, what you're talking about, and like how you can actually measure
it's like
circumference.
Mary Jane says, I'd like I said, teach, don't talk down. I'm just going to pop up until you're ready, David. Let me know. Jay Lynch, would you please? No, you're adorable. Would you please stop being rude and talking over the ladies? I don't think he's doing it on purpose.
He's passionate. I think he's just passionate and trying to.
I know. I just like to finish my statements. That's all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do too, because otherwise I forget.
Yeah.
I have that shiny ball moment. It's like, where was I going with that? And this, thank you very much. The first moon, the first.
We're not difficult.
We're going to be.
Well, I am.
We're going to go here too. I want to, well, not that becoming a raging alcoholic, but we're going to go to the first man on the moon missions. What he thinks about moon. I want to go there. All these things. I want to pick his brain out how he feels about everything.
Okay, here's Jay Lynch is a good friend of mine, and he said, I would love to talk to you more about this and would actually consider booking you, because he has his own podcast. But if you talk over and don't let him finish, that he'll bounce you. But he's a very good friend. He's very respectful. He will let you talk and he will listen to what you have to say. So you guys can connect afterwards.
Yeah, no problem. You can reach me at info@the Flat Earth Podcast. Just send me the name of your podcast, a link to it, and tell me what you want to talk, and I'll respond. So if you could share my screen, ladies. So I'm going to skim. We don't have time to watch the whole thing, but this is the launch of what I call the grain silo. So look at this thing. This thing is gigantic.
And where was this launched from?
This is a SpaceX launch just the other day, March 3rd. Okay. So they're always edits, cut. They always have all this smoke so you don't see anything. You see this thing going up. Look at this. Look at the smoke coming off of there. That little flame is listening to this. Why is the camera shaking? The camera's far away. Then they have this straight on shot from the side. This thing is shooting up into the sky. Look at that little flame. Does this look real to you?
No, but what kind of gas are they using?
Yeah, well, it's the same fuel that they use for all their launches. Sometimes there's a smoke trail, sometimes they're not. This is
there it is.
I don't even So hold on, we're gonna jump forward a little bit. So this thing's going up, it's going up. Now it's way high in the sky. How are they getting this sideways shot? This is a shot from the ground. So how are they getting a sideways shot? If you look in the bottom right there, that's how high they are supposedly. But how are they still getting this sideways shot? Nobody can address that. And then I'm just jumping forward. And so then this thing's going to come down and it's going to land upright. So now out of the 3 engines, only one of them's going. This thing is like 8 stories high. It's gigantic. They tell us. Okay. Now look at the smoke coming off of that. This thing is falling back to Earth. It weighs over 40 tons, right? Well, why is the smoke kind of just going with it? So it does this falling thing. It's falling, right? How are they filming this from the ground? It's falling, and then watch what happens. They're going to turn on the one engine, and it's going to stop this thing from falling. Now, look at the smoke going off of it. It shows you it's not going that fast. If this thing was falling, it'd be going 1,000 miles an hour, but it's not. Okay, I'm jumping forward, and watch when it makes it. Okay, hold on. This is it. So this thing's falling. This one engine turns on. Well, now they got 3 engines. Sorry. And now one goes out, another one goes out. And so now there's one engine, and this thing's going to land and do a bullseye on this, right? Look at this thing. And people believe that's real. That is utter nonsense.
So what was this? This was a test to see if this thing worked?
This was another SpaceX launch. Supposedly they're going to be taking people to Mars in this thing one day. This is nonsense. This is all trickery. It's done with helium. It's done with CGI. No one's there to see it, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and that's just one. There's ones that are way worse than that. Way, way, way worse.
But now, even still, if they get up there, even our planes get up there, we can still take imagery of the Earth.
You can, I know, and it's flat. Every time you go up at 120,000 feet, it's flat. There's no curvature ever at those heights. No curvature.
That video you just showed, can that be found on YouTube?
Yeah, I found that one on YouTube.
Okay.
But now on April 22nd, they're supposed to be sending people up to go to the space station.
It's all a lie. The International Fake Station, I call it. The where is it? The post interview. I have videos. It's just hard for me to show them here in unless I'm on Zoom. That they're faking anti-gravity. They're hanging from wires. They're using green screens. They're using digital technology. They're using fisheye lenses. This is a balloon from 120,000 feet. The Earth is completely flat. The sun is local and is causing a hot spot. If it was 93 million miles away, there would not be a local light just like we see. And this is what the Earth really looks like just from 120,000 feet, right? Higher up, the colors are going to get muted more. You're not going to see what you're even seeing here. And just what you're seeing from space is what they're making what you expect to see. Universal Pictures in 1927 started with.
They do make maps. There are maps of every continent. There are
like this
measurements of the
you can measure a continent, but the position of the continents are the lies. So in 1927, Universal Pictures added their spinning globe to their movies with a map of the Earth that no one had ever seen. How did they know what the Earth looked like until NASA 30 years later put a rocket into space? It's all called predictive programming, right? The Earth is not a ball floating in a space vacuum, spinning and whirling and twirling out of control. It's not. It's flat. It's measurably flat.
Okay, just a little comment here. You would say it's out of control. Those of us who believe that it's round, it's not out of control because gravity is keeping us to the ground, so it's not completely out of control. Hey, John.
All right, so let's talk about gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about gravity. So we're told that the sun, a gas ball in a vacuum, which is impossible, is holding on to the Earth, and the Earth is orbiting around the sun, right? It's falling. Literally, it's falling around the sun, but it's going just fast enough where it never can get the curvature of the sun. That's what an orbit is. That's what they're telling us. Mm-hmm. Okay. At the same time that's going on, the sun, the Earth is holding on to the moon, which is orbiting around the Earth. And the Earth's gravity is holding on to the moon. At the same time that's going on, the sun is holding on to the Earth, and it's holding on to this planet, and it's holding on to another planet, and it's holding on to another planet, which are all going around the sun, right? Mm-hmm. And they're all holding on to their own moons. What happens when the moon of the Earth goes in between the sun? How come the sun's gravity doesn't yank it away from the Earth, or at least tug on it a little bit? How come if the sun's over here?
But it's not there long enough.
Hold on. The sun is holding on to the Earth, and the moon is coming around heading towards the sun. How come it doesn't speed up a little bit and then slow down a little bit when it's moving away from the sun? Because the sun's holding on to the Earth, which is way bigger. How come it doesn't do that? So here's the reason that I'm asking that question. There's a thing called the three-body problem, right? You could take the world's best supercomputer and you could say, all right, we've got a sun. It's got this much size, mass, gravity, and we got an Earth or a planet. We put it in orbit and you program the computer and it will predict where that thing's going to be forever perfectly. Then you add one more gravitational object to that model, just one, either another planet or moon to go around the rotating planet, and the entire model goes into chaos mode. It never repeats. They can never predict what's going to happen next. The world's best supercomputer cannot model what they say gravity does with 3 bodies. There's 60 or some odd bodies in our solar system alone that repeat forever. The stars still line up with the pyramids, right? The eclipses repeat every 18 years. The stars never change. Polaris, looking through that hole in the Georgia Guidestones, never moves. But all of this crazy beehive is going on, and somehow all of the planets happen to be on the same plane going around the sun. They're not coming around from all different directions like this. They're all on the same plane, and that's because we're watching everything go above us, above the Earth plane. It's the only thing that makes sense.
But you said that the other planets didn't exist.
They're lights in the sky. They're wandering stars. They're the same as stars, but they have their own path. Okay? They're energetic sources of energy. They're named after gods, and they affect every step of our life.
Are they flat as well?
They're not even solid. There's nothing terra firma about them. They're lights in the sky. The only thing that anyone can accurately say about any lights in the sky other than airplanes from the sun, moon, stars is that they're lights. We don't know how big they are. We don't know how far they are. We don't know what they are, but we know that they have predictable patterns and that the fixed stars, the zodiac stars, never change.
Wow. Okay.
It's a lot.
This is a lot. This is a lot that you're throwing.
Definitely going to be going back over and listening to this show myself.
So ladies,
several times.
Yeah,
several times.
Ladies,
what do you believe about the moon?
So the moon is no, you know what? The moon is the biggest mystery of all. But I have a short video that shows you that you can't tell what shape the moon is. It looks spherical to me, but the lights in your ceiling don't dictate the shape of the floor. The pool balls on a pool table don't tell you that the table's a sphere. So think about this. Think about this. You got the sun here and you got the earth here, all right? You with me?
Mm-hmm.
So you got the sun here and you got the earth here. So so here I am. So when I'm right here on the earth, I'm looking at the sun. So I would say that's noon. Right here, it's noon in Africa, right? I'm looking at the sun. So it's noon, right?
Okay.
And if I spin it 180 degrees, I'm sitting here in Africa, I'm looking at the night sky, right? Because I'm looking away from the sun.
Right.
Right? You with me?
Right.
All right. So I'm looking at all of the stars that are over there. I've got the sun here. So I'm looking at those stars. 6 months later, the earth has come all the way over here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking that way, I'm looking at the day sky. When I'm looking that way, I'm looking at the night sky. I'm looking at stars over there in the opposite direction, on the other side of the sun that I was looking at before, and I see the same stars.
But how come you see this? All right, if you're here in the States and you look up and you see some of these,
why do we see different stars in the south? Is that
right?
the question?
And why is it upside down?
Yeah.
These
Okay.
things in
which one do you want me to answer first?
Paul, just go. I want to know why. Yes, why is this constellation upside down over here?
I'm going to tell you why. So imagine yourself in a room with 10-foot high ceilings, just a regular room. All right. There's nothing in the room except there's recessed lights in the ceiling in random positions, and we'll call them stars. Okay. Now we're going to expand that room to 20 miles wide. Okay. And I'm going to have one of you is going to walk 10 miles away. Right. At 10 miles with a 10-foot high ceiling, you won't even be able to see them anymore because the ceiling will be touching the floor. I mean, in a long hallway in Vegas in a hotel, the ceiling almost touches the floor. So now I'm going to say, both of you look up at the ceiling. Are you going to see the same lights? You're going to see completely different lights.
I've got to listen to this again because
that
somebody just went whoosh right over my head. Yes.
I can see why that would make things look
Think about that. You got lights in the ceiling.
Upside down.
So you got lights in the ceiling. Let's say there's just a row of lights, and we're going to name them 1 through 100, and they're all 50 feet apart or whatever. So if I sent you to the other side of the room, 10 miles away or whatever, you look up, you're going to see lights 89 and 98, and I'm going to look up, I'm going to see lights 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to see different lights in the sky because we're just in different places.
But they're still positioned the same. The lights are still the same. They're still fixed. They're still the same.
And they're rotating above you. They're rotating above you. So the other thing about why is it upside down? So I'm going to draw a 6 on the ceiling, and I'm going to stand over there, and I'm going to look at the 6. You're on the other side of the room, the south side of the room, and you look at it, you're going to see a 9. It's upside down.
Okay, well, there's the explanation. Okay.
But if you go, that's why you see the moon upside down, but the stars are spinning in a fixed positions around us. So when you're in Santiago at midnight, you look up, you see some stars. Well, over in Australia, on the other side of the world, it's noon. And they don't see any stars. But 12 hours later, the stars that you were looking at have spun around, and now they're over Australia. They look up, they see the same stars looking at it. It's that simple.
Okay. All right. Taryn says, that's because he's not making sense. All I see is Russell Crowe and a beautiful mind. Except take the brilliant out. Taryn, be nice. This is what he believes. He's done this research to and this is the conclusions he comes up with.
So here's what's going to happen, ladies. I have a series of trolls that are government trolls that have no content on their channels that will follow me to every interview I do. They're going to go in, they're going to comment on everyone's comment. They're going to comment, Dave's a scammer. He's just trying to sell his app. He doesn't believe it. Nonsense, but they'll never offer you a single proof of the globe. So when you see these guys, just ask them, is that your best proof of the globe?
That's the app is behind them, and that's the app right there.
Yeah.
And you do pay for the app, but however, you put a lot into the app. So, I mean, a lot of people have paid apps.
The app is $2.99, and it's the highest rated app in the App Store. Just read the reviews and think about this. If you've ever bought a Starbucks coffee or a beer, 20 minutes later, that's kind of gone down the toilet. You have the app for the rest of your life. It serves you a new video every day. It has all these resources in it. And just read the reviews. Read the reviews. If you want to learn about where you live, who you are, what you are, and the true power that you have, figure out where the heck you live. And you could do it without my app, but it ain't easy.
Yeah. But you know what? We've got like, it's 9:42. We've got like 15 minutes left. I want to ask you though about the moon. I want to ask you about the moon missions. I want you to show those videos on that's always been questionable. And I mean, that's a thing that, the world can kind of stand behind and say, yeah, everyone kind of thought, maybe that first moon landing was faked, because it does look sketchy. However, I don't know how they're taking that video and what kind of cameras they have at that point in time, too. Not like what we have now. They're not out there in 5G. You know what I mean? So how good could the quality be?
It's horrible quality. Have you watched
I have watched. It's just kind of, it's like a bad movie.
It's like a bad South Park cartoon. I mean, it's the worst crap ever. Again, I can't load all of these videos because we're not we're on StreamYard. They don't allow that.
Not Zoom.
So yeah, it's the worst crap ever. Again, in the app under NASA. Are all pilots or in on it? Are all space agencies in on it? You'll see all the videos in there, and there's tons of them. What's it called? Are all space agencies in on it? Here, let me share it real quick. Maybe I can find one to pull up. Share screen. All right, share that, ladies. So if I hit are all space agencies in on it, up comes a list of videos that they don't want you to see. It shows, where's a short one? Let's try this one. So here's Yeah. Well, basically, these people are hanging upside down. Their faces are turning red. That microphone is not a real object. It's called augmented reality, and lots of times they glitch out. You guys have seen this is just an example. Penn and Teller. These guys are actually hanging upside down, just like these guys. So let me. There you go. That's the end of their skit where they flip the camera over. Let me try to find a better one. There's so many things going on. I don't know, ladies. It's too much for a podcast. But if you click that link, all these videos are in there, and these are videos again that Google won't serve you. They use green screens. They use wires. They get tangled in their wires often. They use 0G planes. Here's a shot from a 0G plane. These are both done in a 0G plane. And this is a shot right here when they were live on the news, and all of a sudden they slammed into the wall. And then they quickly cut away. And what it was is they were doing a live show from the space station or the ISS or whatever it was, the ISS or the shuttle. And they were really on a 0G plane, which is a plane that does a parabolic arc, and it could give them apparent weightlessness for about 45 seconds. But something went wrong with the arc, and they all crashed. So this is, what it looks like in a parabolic plane where they're floating around, and people's hair float around freely. Watch this woman's hair, it's up and down. But at the end of the arc, this is what happens. They all hit the ground, and that's what happened here. So I turn their video sideways, and I compare it to the end of a parabolic arc. It's the same thing. That's how they fake weightlessness in space. And there's a lot more to it when you watch this in detail. Like the guy in the front there, he catches both of the items that he's flipping around with one hand, like he's done it 1,000,000 times, like a boss. And, this shows you that it wasn't a catastrophic shift in the space station. This was the end of a parabolic flight, and they just screwed up.
Okay, I have Mike Robichaud is here. He just wanted to ask you a few things, and I said he could come on. Hi, Mike.
What's up, Mike?
How y'all doing?
All right. What's going on?
So one quick question. Explain to me the changing of the tides.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So the tides are not correlated to let me just pull this up while I talk. They're not correlated to the moon. Think about this. When there's a new moon, how come there's not a giant tide like when there's a full moon? And the answer is, because the moon is still there. It's just not lit up, which is interesting. So if you look at the tides, so if I go, what about tides? There's 4 or 5 videos here that show that there's these tidal nodes which happen all around the world where there's
I've watched those. I've watched all those. They've all been proven wrong.
Well, there are these tidal nodes. How have they been proven wrong?
Well, they're tidal nodes, but they've been proven wrong that at certain times when the correlation with the stars and the moon and the rising of tides definitely correlates with the complete orbital spin of our planet.
Oh,
Where'd he go?
Where'd he go? Uh-oh.
What happened?
He must have hit the wrong button.
Oh, shoot.
Well, hopefully he'll come back.
Yeah.
But this has been a crazy show, Mike. I know Mike wanted to ask a bunch of questions from the get-go. You were busy tonight. You were at your black belt. I hope that thing went well.
Yeah, it's a pre black belt testing, so I have to do a bunch of different forms to make sure I'm completely ready before he tests me. So it's a lot of stuff to remember, and somebody of my age doesn't.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I didn't run away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, can I just get 2 seconds in before we get into this deep discussion? Everybody who is here on the YouTube, hopefully you sign up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so we can keep you occupied.
So let me finish. Yeah. Let me finish where I was. Is
okay.
The nodes.
There is some correlation to the tides, but if the sun and the moon are within, they stay in between the tropics, so the highest tides should be in the tropics. But at the equator, there's no tide. The Maldives are a foot off above sea level, a foot or 2 feet, and there's no tide there. In the biggest tides are in the north, way up in Alaska. There's tides that are 30, 35 feet that come in and out twice a day. So it makes no sense.
Hawaii, there's massive tides as well.
Yeah, so there's different tides around the world. They don't correlate to the sun and the moon. Now, the sun and the moon are electric.
But they do tide charts out for so.
Yeah, and there are, like, when there is a full moon, there is a higher tide. But so check this out. So the sun and the moon are the anode and cathode of the Earth battery system. So there's energy being exchanged. The salt water carries the current of the battery, and the land is the salt bridge of the battery. So the current of the sun and the moon are partially causing the tides, and that's why there's no tides in freshwater. There's only tides in salt water, which is very interesting. And then what else I was going to say? I had another point there. It seems to have eluded me. I forgot. Short-circuited. It'll come back.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
Moment. We have that. I have that a lot.
Another quick question then.
Shoot.
If I guess you're saying the Earth is a sphere, is that what you're saying, or a disc?
No, I'm saying the Earth is not a disc. It's not. The way I describe it is, because nobody can dig below 8 miles. They hit an impenetrable barrier. No one's ever been able to get below it. So we don't know what's below it. But I say the Earth is the basement of the universe. That's the best way I can describe it. And we live in the Antarctic basin, right? So we just live in the low spot in the Antarctic basin, which is filled with water. There's the Antarctica is the shoreline of the world pond.
Right. So
yeah, can you show that picture again with the extra outside the Earth?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Where it's, this is just a possibility this is we live here in the center, and our sun is oscillating in between the two tropics, in and out here, as it circles around the center point, which is the North Pole right there. And then beyond Antarctica, there could be extra territory, extra land in the outer space. There's some stories. In 1901, there's a story of a U.S. senator who in the late 1800s took a ship to Antarctica, and he found an opening, and he went through the opening and came out the other side and was lost at sea for a month. And then they came across this land, and a boat came out to greet them, and they spoke English, and they're like, where are you from? And like, we're from America. And they're like, where are we? Like, this is the Iron Republic. And they're like, where's that? And they explained that it's on the other side of the ice wall, about the same distance as America is. And so this is in the 1800s. They went there, and they said flat screen TVs, flat screen monitors, whatever, all sorts of technology, electric cars, levitating things. And they published a series of articles in Florida Magazine starting in 1901. And you can't find a single copy of that magazine anywhere, which is very strange, because on eBay or other places online, you could find anything, if you have the money, but you can't find a single copy of this. But there's reprints of it. There's a book on it. It's called The Iron Republic. And there's a YouTube video where somebody, John the Morgal, read the whole thing. And it's an amazing story. Do we have any proof it's real? No, but it's an amazing story.
So William says, too much secrecy with Antarctica. What exactly are they hiding? It's
So think about this. Yeah, think about this. In 1959, when all the countries were killing each other, they said, we need to make a treaty on Antarctica, and every country in the world signed in on it. Like all the major countries, all the United Nations countries, they all signed in on it. And this treaty has been in effect It goes through 2041. No one can even question it till then. And it was done for environmental reasons before environmentalism was even a word. They said, we can't disturb the ice or the penguins because that's all that's there, they tell us. And, but meanwhile, deforest the Amazon, that's fine, and that with all of the resources in this world, we're running out of resources. They say that there's land beyond the poles, bigger than America, that filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes on. Okay, that's what Admiral Byrd said when he came back from his mission, and then he was silenced and he died. So how does that treaty still in place? How is that treaty still in place?
Do you think Amelia Earhart disappeared over there?
I don't know what I used to know. I've forgotten more about her than I can remember.
Yeah, found her remains. They found her remains on an island.
Yeah, that's what they say. That might be true.
Yeah, well, at least they said the DNA was matching, but how would they have had her DNA? So that's questionable anyway.
Well, everything is questionable. I mean, you can only prove so much stuff.
This is true. Another quick question would be, I don't know if you probably explained this earlier, so explain. Hey, what? I got a cat talking to me. The sunrise and the sunset.
Oh, and explain that.
He did explain that. Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. All right, I think I wrote down something here real quick here. Oh, okay. How's it possible that a ship or airplane can travel all the way around the Antarctic continent in less time than it takes to travel from New York to England?
Yeah, well, it can't. No one's ever done it. Admiral Byrd is the last person that was documented to do it. Took him 3.5 years, and he didn't even finish. He went over 60,000 miles, when in fact it should have been a short trip. Going around Antarctica, this is supposedly 13,000 miles around the shoreline of Antarctica, but he did it. It took him he went over 60,000 miles. That's because he was going all the way around here. And he didn't even finish, and he had gone 60,000 miles. So, that statement, that it's shorter than another distance. No, it isn't. It's never been done.
How about gravity?
Gravity is, so I'll explain what gravity is. So there's two things. One, buoyancy and density. Denser things fall down, lighter things,
I've heard this by every flat earther. Yeah, that doesn't compute in my mind. If I do a mathematical equation on what you're telling me, it doesn't work out.
So we don't live on a math equation, but let me finish what I'm saying. So the Earth is measurably electric. It has a negative charge to it across the entire plane. It's a measurable plane. As you leave the Earth, a meter off the ground, there's 100 volts of electricity, 200 volts at 2 meters, 300 volts at 3 meters. The dome is theorized to be the positive of the battery system. So the Earth is the negative, the dome is the positive. That negative charge, when you leave the Earth, you have a positive charge to you. And that negative charge, since the Earth isn't moving, it says down is this way, and it's a weak force. Just like they say gravity is a weak force. It establishes down is down. Down is down for me. Down is down for someone in Australia. Down is not up. Down is down. Up is up for everybody. Forward and backwards, left and right are relative to your positions. So everything knows, okay, this is down. The Earth is attracting me. And then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I had a handful of marbles and ping pong balls and I dropped them over a swimming pool, they'd both fall through the air because they're more dense. The ping pong balls would sit on top of the water and the marbles would go to the bottom of the water because of buoyancy and density. This is measurable and testable. Now,
that's in water. That's in water, not in air.
And air. If I drop them in the air, they both fall through. They're both more dense.
They fall at the same speed.
Well, not really, because the ping pong balls the air resistance would slow them down more than the marbles. But in a vacuum, they'd fall at the same speed. But we don't live in a vacuum. And then the other thing is, we can do tests. You ever see those little tinfoil triangle squares that you electrify them, put a negative charge in them, and bam, they go up. They defy what? Gravity or electromagnetism. You can put a negative charge on something. We got a Van der Graaf generator and we put it on a metal plate, which was just above the floor. And when we crank that thing up and make that negative charge stronger than the Earth's negative charge, all the little particles underneath all of a sudden go up. So what am I defying? Gravity? How can that weak negative charge, which is slightly stronger than the Earth's negative charge, lift things up while gravity can hold out cruise ships upside down and trillions of tons of water? Makes no
I hear
sense.
you. I hear the physics in that. That makes sense. But
Okay.
one other quick question. What is the benefit of anyone telling us the Earth is round if it's flat?
Mike, great question. And I will answer that. So they want this is all about control. If you believe that you live on a ball, you're in a prison and you don't see the walls of the prison. The ball is the prison. They want you to believe that you're an insignificant speck in a godless or distant God universe where you could be taken out at any moment, where you have no control. You're spinning out of control, lost in space, where you turn on the news, so much fear, right? They want to take away, they're literally trying to steal your soul. This is a spiritual war. The truth is that they don't want you to know is that you are at the center of creation. You are a powerful spiritual being that has God-given free will, and nobody can take it away from you. Nobody
Believe
can
me,
tell
I know
you
that. Believe me, if you knew about me, you would completely understand that. I know that for a fact.
All right. Well, so
he's a
by the way,
shaman, and he can like
Michael,
astro project and all that kind of stuff.
Michael, I'm with you. There's lots of people that have control of their lives and maintain their free will, but they're still lost in space. But they do fine because they found their creator, or whatever name you want to put on it, and they're doing well. But once you understand where you are, the analogy I use is the Matrix, the movie The Matrix. Neo at the beginning of the movie, something's wrong. He's depressed. He can't figure it out because his mind is still plugged into the Matrix. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know the real story of the world. And then when he unplugs from the Matrix, look at Neo at the end of the movie. He takes back his power. He realizes who he is, and he takes back the power of his mind. This is what they don't want you to know. One, they're hiding the creator. Two, they're hiding the truth of the world is that your thoughts create your reality and nobody has say over you. They have us as slaves. They have us working until today, the 15th. Well, today's the day where we give all our money back to them, right? But you have to work a third or a half of the year for them. That's all nonsense. They have us agreeing to nonsense. They have us working for magic Babylonian paper squares.
Those things that you just named, I definitely agree with you on 100%.
Yeah. So Mike, this is about control. That's it. The bottom line is about hiding your true potential, because if everyone woke up tomorrow and realized the separation in countries, races, religions, sexes, all that stuff is all nonsense, they'd be done. We are the many, they are the nothing.
Right.
Well, we try to bring that concept up a lot, and
I mean, everyone. Yeah, because everyone. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to understand that. I mean, we know that whoever came up with the 40-hour work week should be beat down like a dog.
Hell yes.
Because it definitely doesn't allow you to live your life the way you really should and want to.
Well, he walked away from his job, his business, to do this full time.
Because here's the thing: you believe there's a little bit of tyranny going on in the world right now with a little bit of nonsense.
There has to be. There has been going on since probably before we've been around.
Yeah, but look what's going on right now. Mike, look what's going on right now. They're destroying the middle class. They're destroying it. Medical tyranny. I don't want to get into it because I want this to remain on YouTube. But all of this craziness is going on right now, and the way they're getting away with it is because everybody's lost in space, spinning out of control, and doesn't know who they are. They don't know that their immune system is God-given. It's not a face diaper. All right, that's all I'll say there because I don't want to get you.
Right. No booting, no booting.
So, ladies, I think we got to wrap it up. Any final questions?
We do.
Yeah.
Mike, thanks for asking good questions. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike, for coming on.
No worries. It was definitely interesting. It was definitely interesting talking to you, and you have a great life. And I'll look into some of your writings and some of your other YouTube stuff, I'm sure.
Right. What I tell people is take the Flat Earth app challenge. Watch the daily video every day for a couple weeks, and you too will know that you don't live on a spinning ball. You'll have more questions than you did at the beginning, but you'll know that it's not a spinning ball flying through a space vacuum, which is impossible, scientifically impossible.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Thanks,
Mike. All right, so guys, this is what I wanted to put up here. This is his app. Okay, if you want to go to the Google.
You can take.
Google
I
Play,
got it up
the
right here.
Apple
Oh,
Store.
okay.
Yeah, it's right
It's the
there
same
too.
thing right here.
So
Just point your phone at that, or just search the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Make sure it's by Blue Water Bay, because there's a knockoff by some globe trolls from the Flat Earth Society type people that are trying to trap your mind. They're gatekeeping you.
Exactly. So you have your podcast, Flat Earth Podcast.
The Flat Earth Podcast. You can find all the links at theflatearthpodcast.com, Facebook, the Flat Earth Podcast, and my Instagram, the Flat Earth Podcast. Very easy to remember. And my YouTube channel is just the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. So it's DITRH. And that's it. If you want to learn, I've pointed to a bunch of doors. I pointed to a bunch of doors. It takes time and effort to take in the knowledge.
Exactly. This was 2 hours of all over the place, but a ton of information that, that has to resonate with a lot of people. So I appreciate you coming on and telling us, what you've told us, showing us your truths. I have to really wrap my head around it. I really
do.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rewatch this probably several times, and I
will make sure that all your links are put into every that I can find every share of the show, YouTube and Facebook.
We have it on several Facebook pages going live right now. Plus, we share it to several.
And just know that this image right here is not what I think. This is not right, and neither is that one.
Yep.
I like that one over there.
Those are just,
I mean, they're pretty. I'll give you, they're pretty, but this is from the Flat Earth Society.
I can do better paintings than that. So here you go.
Yeah, but that's what you put in. You put in the Flat Earth picture, and those are the ones that come up. That and the boats going off.
Wonder why that is. Why that is. Why is Google serving you that?
Because they don't want you to believe it, right?
There you go. Very good.
All right. Well, listen. Again, thank you so much for being with us. We do have to cut him loose. We have to
let him go.
We've gone a little bit over, and so we appreciate it. If you want to hang just for a minute, but you guys join us next week. We'll be back. We have Travis Fox. We got Fox in the Fox Den. All right. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us tonight.
See you guys.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode in the Fox Den. We're here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and our Anchor venues. We would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, and please subscribe, share, and definitely hit the notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.